Raw, real, and just a little dangerous. This is Feral.
Y'all, do you consider yourselves warriors? It's a complex term. There's a lot that goes into it. But like sometimes you think entrepreneurs, we think we're pioneers, we're vanguards, we are warriors, we're evangelists, we're all of these super active things. And then in our doubtful moments, we don't feel like those things. We feel like beggars. We feel like loudmouths. We feel like nuisances. We feel like inconveniences and so much more. And for me, my relationship with this idea of warrior energy is and has been complex because I live my life in kind of a Muppet zone. It's like Sam the Eagle, but other than that, animal? I don't know. Not a whole lot of exampling, or so I thought. But why am I ranting at you about Muppets and Warriors? I did not understand this area of my energy so profoundly that once I did, it shifted pretty much everything. And I guess that if you're tuning into this, you are about to have the same experience. No pressure, JU. Tell the folks who you are, darling, and then we're going to talk about this very particular, beautiful nebula known as warrior energy.
Thank you so much. And thanks so much for creating this. I am actually truly honored to be part of it. So who am I? I'm a master intuitive. I'm a intuitive business strategist. I created a paradigm called soul language. And what I do is I really help people connect to their soul to move through that fog of misunderstanding about their business. And that is showing up in energy leaks, in not receiving, in not having a platform as big as they want, of knowing that there's something bigger inside of them and like, how do I get there? Where are my people? And I'm kind of angry. My people are what I call spiritual renegades. They're not going to do it like anyone else. And they're usually still marshmallows, hard on the outside, fluffy on the inside, right? And they don't want anyone to know that they're fluffy on the inside. Like, it's been painful. And I really help them start to really receive and receive big from their vision.
Let's talk about receiving. Let's talk about how it's so funny how much I'm like, let's talk about receiving. And by receiving, I mean my problems with receiving. Nay, this is not therapy.
First
This
of
is an
all,
interview.
your problems are probably everyone's problems. And listen, let's be honest. Like, we're on our own channels, right? We want to stop our suffering. And, warrior energy has that weird dichotomy of like wanting to help others.
Yeah.
Right? And going overboard in helping others, never leaving a man down, and silently going, it's my shit, I need my stuff, right? And that, right? I mean, my tangible example of this is a couple years ago when I broke my ankle, right?
Mm-hmm.
My landlord said at the time, listen, you have the dog, you have just got the boot on, you're 3 flights up. You let me know when the dog needs to go out. I'm like, oh, okay. Now, it's November. I have a boot on one foot. It's at night, like 8 o'clock at night in November. And I'm standing outside with the dog. Marlon, my landlord, comes out and goes, what are you doing, Jen? I said I would help you. I'm like, and he goes, and why do you only have one shoe on? Because I didn't have the shoe on the other foot. Like, nothing, right? I was like, I don't know, Marlon. I couldn't ask for help, right? Really strong individuals, visionaries, really have a hard time feeling safe being vulnerable. And in order to receive, you need to know and feel safe being vulnerable. And I think that's kind of the root of all receiving problems.
Oh, and especially because, oh my gosh, it's like JU's taking us to church, y'all. For me, what just blew my mind in and about my own kind of cyclical patterning here is you and I have had many, many, many conversations about both of our, but especially my tendency to over deliver. And over delivering for me is a form of protection against what I perceive as vulnerability, because if I over deliver, I'm more likely to be accepted, bloody, blurdy, blardy, blar. But then when I'm in that warrior misfiring energy of over delivery, I'm paying so much attention to what everybody else is receiving while ignoring my own needs. So that what happens to me is I become this weird martyr energy where I start off with the intentions. I'm going to save the world. I'm going to help this person. I'm going to do these things. It's not about me. It's bigger than me. It's about us. And I mean all of these things. I mean all of these things. And then I wind up resentful of the people that I'm helping because I'm over delivering and I'm unwilling to receive what's right in front of me, just like you and the landlord. So it feels like I'm not receiving at all because A, I'm not asking. Don't ask, don't get. And B, that's not where my attention is flowing, right? And so I take that, what should be warrior energy, and I turn it into this martyrdom of burnout. Being like, I can't believe I did all of this and it turned into nothing. Like, where does warrior energy go awry? And how can we like rein that sucker back in?
Yeah, you said a lot there. So I think one of the things is like when we are playing that martyr, when we are playing never lead a band down, when we are playing full responsibility, what we're doing is we are feeling separate. And when we feel separate, Universe Tree, Bob, God, Cupcake, whatever you call that, could come sit down next to you and he'd be like, I don't know who you are. Like, keep moving, right? So how we rein it in and how we transform it is by asking a very simple but very complicated question, which is, what do I need? What do I want? And what am I willing to ask for? And all of those can be in alignment, or all of those can be very different. And when we're doing that, after we've gotten those informations, then you have to ask yourself, what's in the way of being and doing that? And utilizing all of your energy to stop making war with yourself, right? And then from there, and one of your soul languages, your personal soul languages is called peacemaker,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you're not making peace, you're making war, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's really about, for you, asking what's going to give you peace in this time and space.
Yes. Yes. All right. So let's talk about ways that we make war with our own businesses. One of the ways I know was I have been self-employed so much of my adult life, almost all of it. And I'm a personal brand and my boundaries have come a long way, but used to freaking super suck. And all that to say, I have become very enmeshed with my business to the point where I would say, like, I am my business and my business is me. And therefore, the energy of my business is the energy of me. And I would have to look at, like, how do client energetics play in that? And how do these other things, or the moon, or whatever I'm looking at that day? But you really helped me understand that, again, God, Bob, Cupcake, whatever your understanding or belief of what energy is totally fine. JU's all down with it.
Don't care what you
But
call it.
doesn't matter what you call it, doesn't matter how you define it. Your business and you, even if you're a solopreneur or a super small team like me, even if you are a personal brand, even if you are the talent, right? Your business entity, just like how you have an LLC and a business bank account, your business energy and your energy are not the same, which explains why sometimes it feels like your business is driving you bonkers, or it sometimes feels like you're driving your business bonkers.
And it's really that, right? It's you calling a business to do something bigger first for yourself and then for others. And one of the things I do is I help identify the energy of a person's personal soul and business soul. These are not archetypes, these are divine energies that evolve in evolution. That's really important, right? So people call in a business again to do something bigger first for themselves and then for others. And if they're putting their pain and programming into that consciousness. Think of it like Play-Doh. If you take little rocks and little pebbles and you put it in your Play-Doh and you mix up your Play-Doh's kind of look like crappy, right? But if you put something beautiful into that Play-Doh, right, you're going to have a masterpiece. Most people put crap into their Play-Doh, like slash business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that you were talking about earlier that kind of popped for me is most warriors, they spend a lot of time hunting in their business,
Mm.
right? Chasing. How do I get that? Right? Rather than, what do I get to do with my energy? So people come to me. And what I tell warriors is like, I'm a warrior. One of my soul languages is called graceful warrior. Action, movement, courage, and grace. But I've learned to focus that energy with direction and intention rather than lead with it. So I used to lead with it, right? I mean, at one point in corporate America, I'd be like, can you pass that pen? And be like, why are you so aggressive? I'm like, are you kidding me? I asked for a pen, right? Right? But what I've done, right?
Jeez.
Right? Like, get over yourself. But what I've done is really say, okay, where do I want to place my intention? Because warrior energy is really good with it. Will, if I say to my mind, chase my goodness, that warrior energy is going to go out of its way to see and chase everything that is good in my life and in my business, right? So people who are going nodding their heads and going, I have warrior energy. The first question you want to ask yourself is, where are you directing it?
Mm.
Really be honest with yourself. And it's kind of a day-to-day kind of balance thing where you can go, okay, in this experience or in this situation or even in this expression, what was I using my warrior energy to achieve? Right? And it's really sneaky. Another way to kind of phrase that is, what am I declaring? As a warrior, what am I declaring? Right? Am I declaring my goodness or am I declaring like that I suck? And this is not spiritual bypass, right? I don't want you to like live your feelings away. I want you to love yourself so unconditionally, and there's no such thing as unconditional love, but being in the consciousness of love so much that you can go, well, if I want to achieve that goal, what does my warrior get to focus on to achieve
Yes.
that?
Yes. It's not bypassing, it's reallocation.
Yes.
Right? And I think that's so freaking critical. There's always the topic that I don't expect to come up that I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad we're talking about this. Spiritual bypassing. Okay. So, all right, woo woos. This convo is for you. I see so much encouragement of spiritual bypassing, especially among the woo set of
You're going to
entrepreneurs
see
and
my eye
founders.
rolls. Yeah.
Right? But I feel like that's one of the things I love so much about this event is that there's no magical thinking. Like I have Bree Seeley coming in to talk about how to hack your own brain for success. We're not talking about looking the other direction. We're talking about what you're talking about from a neuro standpoint of refunneling. Same thing energetically. I aim my warrior energy at myself all the time thinking that it'll be self-motivating and it never frickin' is. It's demoralizing, it's painful, but I also know when I apply something like my warrior energy to hosting an event, shit gets done.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think it's so funny that we're talking about spiritual bypassing.
But it also, people are going to come to you and come to me and all the warriors that are watching because I have little warrior dogs, everyone.
Yeah.
Because
Warrior dogs, warrior wolves.
because of the courage, of the strength, of the compassion, of the forthrightfulness that we exude, right?
Mhm.
That's the good side, right? Oh, I'm not talking about people like working with clients like, okay, you guys know your job. I'm talking about how you use your energy for yourself to create what you want. And one
Mhm.
of the things about what you were saying about the woo and a lot of people encouraging spiritual bypass is they have really crappy foundations. And there's this energy among healers about, I want to heal the world. I laugh at that, really, because I just kind of want to heal myself and the overflow is cool, right? But like, who are you to think you can heal the world? I mean, if Louise Hay, the goddess of like real healing modality, can say, I just wanted to create a little book to help myself, right? Like, you're not, like, who do you think you are? And I mean that with great respect, but like, that's the divine's job,
Right, but the
right?
overflow is the goal. Like, what? I
Yeah.
mean, the overflow is not the goal, but like the overflow is the goal. Like, what if the overflow is the goal? What if, like, I am going to heal myself so freaking badassedly that it rubs off on other human beings? Isn't that exactly what we go into business hoping to do? I'm going to be so successful that it elevates the people around me. I'm going to be so successful that it creates generational wealth, which for me goes to my dog. I mean, I don't know, but like that's why we go into business. I want to have an impact. And you're not saying you don't have an impact. You're
No,
saying your impact is
I'm,
magnified and
yeah.
amplified in your own community by your own freaking growth.
Yeah. I'm saying one of the things that makes my eyes roll is when people go, I just really want to help other people. And I go, can I curse on here, by the way? I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, you're
It's an
fucking
event
lying.
called
Yeah,
Feral, baby.
that's true. I'm like, you're fucking lying. Like, please. One of my soul languages is teacher of integrity. I can tell when people are lying or in that, spiritual bypass, the conditional love. No, that's not all you want. Because if you're denying what you want to experience, then you are not completing the giving and receiving circle. I'm a master of service. I am of service in the supermarket. People will come up to me and tell me their deepest problems. And then there's this shocked look on their face like, did I just do that? And I'm like, I offer them the love and I help them and they go on their way. It's happened to me in Red Square in Russia in Russian, right? I'm like, I don't know what you're saying, but I know what you're saying, right? This event is really not about your clients. This event is about the person watching it. And if you keep insisting, all is well, there's always something more to transform. There's always something more to expose to goodness. And what I love about warrior energy is they're fierce with that.
Hmm.
And they're no bullshit. And they're willing to walk through fire for themselves and with other people to support the evolution of themselves and their planet. And that's a really good thing. The really bad thing is when you use all that goodness on yourself to keep yourself small or stuck or not good enough, because we can do that too. So
Hmm.
it's really about how you want to utilize it. And with warrior energy, we tend to have an overwhelming responsibility, right?
Mm.
And I'm always telling clients, like, what are you truly responsible for? Like in this situation. And I think that prevents people who have warrior energy from going really big because they're like, why do I want to be responsible for like a room full of people? I'm already responsible in my head for a whole bunch of other people, right?
Hmm.
It's about doing the internal actions, which are an acceptance, a activation, an allowing, or an airing, which is really letting go. I needed
Mm.
another A.
It's
So
beautiful. You gotta air
I know,
that
fun,
out.
like air that out. So it's it's really about your own evolution at every step in order to make a difference. You can't make a difference if you're not evolved.
What are the symptoms or some of the symptoms? Because everybody's different, but what are some of the symptoms of fighting your own evolution?
That feeling of being stuck, frustration, anger that's persistent. If it's gone too long, it can be depression or sadness. Here's a perfect example. So let's see, 15 years ago, I lived in an apartment above this woman who was having the same conversations with different people on the phone. Our walls were very thin. And she's like, you don't hear me, you don't see me. First it was with her boyfriend, then with her best friend, then with her mother. And I wanted to go down and go, okay, they're not the problem. You're the problem. It's that persistent pattern that keeps showing up. And as we evolve more, those patterns are going to show up again, just lighter, just with a different twist, not as big, right? My people are not moving boulders in their energy. They're moving little pebbles, which is the worst kind of thing because they're hard to kind of spot, right?
Hmm.
But it's really about noticing, and you can simply ask the question, like, why am I so upset? Where does my soul want to go?
Mhm.
And most people evolve through their businesses, if you've called in a business. Not enough clients, you're getting the weird clients that are off, things are kind of falling flat. People keep saying the same thing to you. You're not really sure which direction you want to go. You're not in love with your business. You're feeling icky and sticky. You're avoiding all of those kind of ego driven saboteurs that we all know so well.
So I know warrior energy can be very direct. It can be very kind of lovingly punchy. It is not, although there is the graceful warrior, right? There's not always the softest, most delicate warriors amongst us. And especially among entrepreneurs, a lot of warriors have a lot to say and yet have been self-censored, other-censored, rejected, all these other things. So how do you know when someone comes to you and they're a warrior and they have that muzzle on and they feel like they can't howl anymore, or they feel like they have been sort of semi-domesticated? This event is called
Yeah.
Feral, damn it,
No,
right? So
no,
like
I'm laughing.
to you
Yeah.
and they're caged and they might not even know it. What do they feel like and what do you see?
I'm laughing because when I started downloading Soul Language, the question was, how can I howl to my community? So I'm laughing that you use that. First of all, they'll get sick every time with a throat. That's their first thing, right? Or they go to say and they feel like, oh, they're taking back their words. Or they're constantly feeling not seen, not heard. They're people pleasing. They'll say often, oh my God, well, like, isn't that what everyone else can do? And, why is that special? They'll create codependent relationships. They'll work with people who, if they're evolving or it needs kind of attention, they'll work with people who are, if it's really out of whack, who are what I call Lucy's from the Peanuts, who are going to pull that football and blame them,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? They'll feel,
Poor blockhead.
I know, they'll feel a deep sense of longing to say something but don't know how to put it or the words for it. And they're always searching for the right marketing speak. Let me just get the right words to say what I do because then I'm going to feel unleashed. And it's usually due to trauma, and there's no thing as small trauma or big trauma, it's all trauma. And they even if they feel very outspoken, right? They'll still feel like, how come I didn't say that? Or why aren't people listening to me? For me, I knew I had to evolve my voice when I was talking to it. I was screaming at an ex-boyfriend and I was screaming. I went to go talk and it was like a cartoon. My voice was so high because when I get upset, it goes higher, 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 that nothing came out. It was like a dog whistle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I gotta fix this, right? Like, I gotta align this. And I began with singing lessons, which knocked me on my ass and created a whole new area of my work because I could talk in front of thousands, but, to be that vulnerable was something that I was blocking and felt really afraid of. And I was shot down before.
What a perfect example of what we were talking about reallocating energy. I was yelling, it fried my voice out. I noticed, I saw myself. I got curious, I got real, I got reflective. I aimed the warrior at myself. I looked at myself enough to be like, girl, reallocate that, reclaim your voice. You found a whole new way to use that energy to reclaim your voice. And then you got unexpected rewards from the reallocation of that energy. And so I like, what a perfect story to take us out on. Y'all, if your energy is misfiring, it's okay. Just find a way to ring that sucker back in. That is your power, right? I always talk about the balloon. If you're letting the air out of the balloon, you got to blow some more back into it. Okay. Okay. So if this blew your mind, as I expected it did, JU will be back throughout Feral to help you and me and all of us tune into the energy of ourselves in a new way, the energy of our businesses as a separate flippin' entity, and the energy of your ideal client. It's not avatar work, it's energetic, and it's so stinking cool. My favorite warrior, thank you for being here with me
Thank you.
today.
Thank you, my friend.